Spectrophotometers are the unsung heroes of the laboratory world. I say this because you'll find these devices in almost every lab, but they always stay in the background. So how do these devices work? Which one is the most suitable for you? And why are the spectrophotometer devices from DLab, our video sponsor, which you see in front of me right now, worth considering? In today's video, we won't just get bogged down in technical details. We'll talk about everything from how light interacts with matter, to the inner workings of the device, from choosing the right spectrophotometer to the most common user mistakes, all in a clear and simple way. We'll also take a look at what's inside the box of the DLab spectrophotometer devices and closely examine the features these devices offer us. If you're ready, let's follow the path of light and set out on this journey of discovery together. Spectroscopy, spectrophotometer, spectrophotometry, spectrum. Do these terms, which sound so similar to each other, confuse you a bit too? Don't worry, you're not alone in this. From what I've seen in my trainings, most people are confused about this, and that's completely normal. But let's clear up this confusion together and explain these terms. Let's start with the concept of spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is the branch of science that studies the interaction between light and matter. A spectrophotometer, on the other hand, is the name given to the device that measures this interaction. In other words, it quantitatively measures how much light passes through a substance, or how much is absorbed. Spectrophotometry, on the other hand, is the actual process of making this measurement. In other words, it's the measurement technique. We frequently use it, especially to determine the concentration of solutions. The device you see here emits in the UV visible range, allowing substances to be identified both qualitatively and quantitatively. And the spectrum is the form of light separated according to its wavelengths. On the graphs produced by the device, the x-axis usually shows the wavelength, while the y-axis shows the intensity of light reaching the detector. I think once these basic concepts are clear, understanding and effectively using spectrophotometry becomes much easier. So how do these systems work? Spectrophotometers operate according to the Lambert-Beer Law. Light is sent through a sample. The substance absorbs this light depending on its concentration. The detector measures the transmitted light. According to this law, as absorbance increases, concentration also increases. This way, we can determine the amount of substance within seconds. The formula you see on the screen is absorbance equals E times B times C. Here, E epsilon is the molar absorptivity of the substance, which is a constant value. B is the path length of the light, usually the width of the cuvette. This is also a constant value. C is the concentration. So, the only variable in the formula is the concentration. That's why we can say that as the concentration increases, the amount of substance in the solution also increases. This forms the basic principle of spectrophotometry. So, how is the measurement done? UV visible spectrophotometers, as the name suggests, operate in the ultraviolet and visible light regions. The UV region generally measures between 190 and 400 nanometers, while the visible region measures between 400 and 1100 nanometers. Spectrophotometers are divided into two main categories. They come as single beam and double beam systems. But this distinction is not just a technical detail. In fact, it's one of the most critical aspects that determines what you expect from the device. In single beam systems, for each measurement, first the blank and then the sample are read separately. In other words, the same light path is used. It's simple, economical, and sufficient for many basic analyses. However, during long-term operations, stability issues may sometimes arise. In double beam systems, things are a bit more advanced. The light goes to both the blank and the sample at the same time. This way, the device instantly calculates the difference between the two. This gives you much more stable and precisely repeatable results. The device from DLab that you see here is also a double beam system. Look, pay attention to this sample compartment. There are two separate cell slots, one in the front and one in the back. First, the system is zeroed with the blank. Then, for each measurement, only the sample is changed and the process continues. This method allows the device to make a simultaneous comparison with the reference during every measurement. The result, minimum error, maximum reliability. So which one is right for you? There isn't a clear answer to this question, because the answer depends on your needs. For example, if you work in a pharmaceutical, R&D, or quality control laboratory, high precision is indispensable. Therefore, double beam systems will be a much more accurate choice. But if you're conducting more general or cost-focused analyses, a single beam device can do the job just fine. In short, choosing the right device is the first step to obtaining accurate analysis results. Clarify your needs and make your decision accordingly. Now, let's take a look together at the features offered by DLab's double beam spectrophotometer system. One of the most noticeable details when we first turn on the device is that this model uses xenon lamp technology instead of the traditional deuterium and tungsten lamps. This is truly a remarkable feature. So, why is that? Because unlike traditional lamps, xenon lamps do not wear out just by being left on. Thanks to this, we can leave the device on for long periods. Moreover, it offers a long average lifespan of about 10 years. This saves you from significant maintenance and spare part costs over time. Additionally, xenon lamps have a very short warm-up time. It becomes ready for measurement within minutes. This difference not only saves time, but also increases your laboratory's efficiency. In summary, details like lamp technology are often overlooked when choosing a spectrophotometer. But in the long run, it's one of the factors you'll notice the most. From this perspective, the DLab device stands out as a highly advantageous option. In fact, regardless of the brand, I can say that xenon lamp technology offers a significant advantage in spectrophotometer systems. Now, let's take a look at the device's menu and measurement screens together. Let's start with the power button on the back of the device. After turning it on, the device automatically performs its internal checks within a few minutes. If all parameters are suitable, you are now ready to take measurements. As I mentioned before, with xenon lamp technology, you need to wait about 10 to 15 minutes for the lamp to fully charge. At the end of this period, the device becomes fully ready for measurement. Let's take a look at the main screens in the menu. The photometric measurement screen. Here, you can quickly see the absorbance value at a single wavelength. It's especially ideal for routine measurements at a fixed wavelength. Multi-wavelength scan, or spectrum scanning. This mode scans within a specific wavelength range and gives you the spectrum of the substance. This way, you can easily identify important information like the point of maximum absorbance. Additionally, the spectrum serves as a kind of fingerprint for substances and is used for qualitative identification, quantitation, concentration analysis. On this screen, a calibration curve is created and the concentration of unknown samples is automatically calculated. It provides great convenience, especially in quantitative analyses. Multi-wavelength, that is, multi-wavelength measurement. You can measure up to 8 different wavelengths simultaneously. If the substance you're analyzing responds at different wavelengths, this mode is especially useful. The kinetic measurement screen measures absorbance changes over time. For example, if you want to monitor the rate of an enzyme reaction, this mode is indispensable. You can use this screen to observe how a glucose oxidase reaction progresses over time. The protein and DNA measurement mode. This screen is a useful tool in labs such as those for molecular biology. Since it works with ready-made formulations, you can determine the concentration of a DNA solution, for example, within seconds. You can directly access biological measurements like the 260/280 ratio. You can perform all these operations directly on the device, as well as through the software on your computer. This feature makes it much easier to archive, analyze, or share your data. You can transfer your measurement results either to a USB drive or directly to your computer. In the final part of our video, I'd like to talk about some of the most common mistakes made when using a spectrophotometer. What are the most frequent mistakes I see, especially during my trainings and out in the field? I'll list them for you. First, the cuvettes not being cleaned or being scratched. This affects light transmission and gives incorrect absorbance values. Make sure the cuvette is clean before every measurement. Skipping the blank measurement or doing it incorrectly. This leads to measurements being taken without a reference. That's an invalid measurement. Always zero the device with a blank for every new measurement series. Insufficient sample volume. If the sample doesn't completely fill the cuvette flight path, accuracy is seriously compromised. choosing the wrong wavelength. If you don't know the maximum absorbance wavelength of the substance being analyzed, the results become meaningless. That's why spectrum scanning is so important. These small mistakes can lead to big problems at the end of the day. So, it's really beneficial to pay attention to these basic points when using the device. This way, you'll also ensure data security. Today, we reviewed our sponsor DLab's device, equipped with dual beam measurement technology and a long-lasting xenon lamp. At the same time, we touched on the working principles of the spectrophotometer technique and the important points to consider when using it. If you'd like to get more detailed information about these devices or technologies, you can check out DLab's website through the link we've left in the description. I hope our video has been helpful and enlightening for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more similar content, like our video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Lastly, what topics should we cover regarding spectrophotometer systems? I'd really appreciate it if you could mention this in the comments. See you in the next video. Take care of yourself.